The federal government wants to hear from you about climate change and how our country can drastically reduce emissions. What you may not know is that public consultations on this have been underway for a few weeks now, and we're set to wrap up at midnight, but that deadline has now been extended.
I mean, it was launched over the holiday season. It's ending in mid-January. Yeah, the timing is certainly not ideal. We really would like it if Canadians had some more time to weigh in. I mean, there aren't many issues that are more urgent than this.
Ottawa is planning to table the 2030 emissions reduction plan by the end of March, a major policy that will change the course of one of the biggest threats facing our generation. Leading up to that, public consultations were launched in mid-December with little awareness.
Questions are difficult, demanding questions. People need some time to think about their answers. So all of that suggests that people needed more time. It should have been launched at a time when people could focus on it. And a better job of just advertising that it's out there.
The deadline to have your say has now been extended by 1 week. The Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change tells CityNews since launching December 10th, the federal government received about 20,000 public submissions. Some of the questions being asked include what sectors the government should pursue to reduce emissions and what Canadians see as barriers and challenges. Gideon Foreman is the climate change and transportation policy analyst with the David Suzuki Foundation.
One, we're looking for stronger targets in terms of reduction of greenhouse gases. The government's talking about a 40 to 45% reduction in greenhouse gases by the end of the decade. We think it has to be more ambitious, on the order of 60% reduction in greenhouse gases.
The transportation sector accounts for a quarter of Canada's total greenhouse gas emissions, more than half of which come from cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. Canada is committed to mandating that all new light-duty vehicles sold make zero emissions by 2035. But Foreman says even more can be done.
I'd like to see more money from the feds in public transit to make it easier for people to leave the car at home or not have a gas-burning car, and public transit is a big piece of that.
Foreman would also like to see an end to highway buildings, such as the 413 being proposed here in Ontario.
And this is an example of really terrible transportation planning in our view, and it just feeds the climate crisis. The Highway 413 would also go through the green belt, so it's bad for biodiversity and protection of nature. So this is an example of the wrong thing to do. New mega highways is the wrong way to go.
Now, if you still want to have your say, that questionnaire will be available online until January 21st at midnight. In Mississauga, Shauna Hunt, City News.